Hello, friends. Today I want to talk about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general. So, as you know, I have two channels on YouTube, and I have my channel on YouTube. Sometimes I share my videos from there too. And I have been struggling to come up with an idea because I always wanted to create a channel dedicated to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency because we are going through this revolution of Web 3.0, decentralization, and there are so many cryptocurrency projects out there, and we know how different kind of ideas, lots of new decentralized finance project that's popping up. Then we have market derivatives. Canada just launched a exchange traded fund. So there's so many things has been happening last 10 years since the birth of Bitcoin. And I already know that there's so many Bitcoin traders who basically do technical analysis, and a lot of you already make a lot of gains based on how or what kind of cryptocurrency, which cryptocurrency you want to buy. So different traders focus on different topics, but generally speaking, the cryptocurrency and crypto space has become skewed towards people who are in this space to make big gains as quickly as possible. So that's why a lot of crypto generally is perceived very risky, and traditional investors, they see it as a get rich quick scheme, or they used to see it in that way. But definitely the perception is changing. And I personally am a Bitcoin trader, and I do trading, and I also like projects, and I want to participate, and I want to hold coins which can gain value over time. And of course, I also have the intention to find a way to maximize my gains. But at the same time, I don't view crypto space to be only about making money. What I hate about, just like in Silicon Valley um, or generally, there's so many zombie companies. I don't know whether you have heard about the concept of zombie companies. Is that um, basically you prop up something and you just come up with some semi-solid idea, and then you convince some investors, you raise money, and eventually your goal is not to really build product. Your goal is to just raise money and get rich as soon as possible. Then probably you sell your company, or at one point when you can no longer pay your loans, or when you can no longer push anything far ahead, then you just dump everything. And sadly, lots of cryptocurrencies are basically like that. They are not really creating any value. So most of the cryptocurrencies, you cannot really consider them as value investing, meaning most cryptocurrencies are not really um, coming up with an idea of really building a product to solve some problem or change something. Of course, there are lots of solid projects, like I would say the top 100 projects, all of them are pretty solid, and it's good that the whole competition is good, and I think it's evolving a space. So coming back to the creation of value, that I like a project which is trying to create a value by solving certain problems. As we know, Bitcoin has solved the problem of Byzantine generals problem, meaning like coming up a consensus, coming up a decentralized way of making consensus to keep a ledger book and to keep a registry book of blocks for payment transactions for transactions. And that was the invention of Bitcoin, that we can now transact money without having relying upon a central authority. We can just this blockchain um, basically keeps the history of the transactions, and that's how we can verify that those transactions are valid or invalid. And on the other hand, Ethereum is about a smart contract. On the other hand, DTube and Steam or Hive is basically social transactions. So that means these projects I like because they are trying to solve a problem. They in one way they are decentralizing, and also in another way they're connecting people in the real world and creating a space where people can do some real things. Also, like decentralized finance, because financial instruments, derivatives, liquidity, staking, all those different coins, for example, Aave, or recently like SushiSwap, Uniswap, and storage coins, Storj, or privacy coins like Monero. Uh, then, uh, then for example, Cardano, or Tejos, where they are trying to understand the weakness in Bitcoin, because Bitcoin came first. It got all the network effect, and lot of the Bitcoin improvement protocol they don't want to implement because they just don't want to make it complicated. Bitcoin already has established itself to be something that's working for last 10 years. So in one way, a lot of developers who are interested in doing having more capabilities, for example a smart contract or anything we know, any other cryptocurrency, what is being done in any other blockchain can also be done on Bitcoin blockchain. But because Bitcoin developers wanted to keep it simple, wanted to keep it as how it started, just the payment transaction network. That's why all the other cryptocurrencies are basically filling the gap of doing other things, and that's perfectly fine. So every legitimate coin basically has their own goal of solving some problem. So uh, that's how different mining protocols or mining algorithms came into place. We know proof of work, we know proof of stake. So I have now shifted my conversation. At the beginning of my conversation, I started that lot of in crypto space they are here only to hold coins and buy it and sell it eventually. But people who really started the crypto development, they were with the vision of really changing the world, or creating a if you remember Satoshi Nakamoto's paper, he basically his vision was that every person with a computer will be able to mine Bitcoin. But definitely that's no longer possible. We know that Bitcoin mining is very centralized because of the nature of proof of work and how it happens. On the other hand, proof of stake has the problem of like being like only um, centralized with people who have a high amount of coins, or typically rich people. So not all the problem can be solved by a single protocol, because every time you try to solve a problem, you probably cannot anticipate all the other consequences it will bring. So anyway, so I um, told that I have been struggling to think about if I start a channel, and there's already a lot of cryptocurrency trading channels. So what's the purpose of another channel to do some technical analysis? Even though I like technical analysis, and I'll probably sometimes do technical analysis on this channel also. But uh, but I want to probably rather create a more educational channel, which is not much in number, maybe introduce, because I have the technical knowledge, and I probably personally also am curious about learning about all the different crypto projects that's popping up. And I myself am working on some, including DTube, and probably I would go through different news that's happening in crypto world, and also go through some interesting cryptocurrency projects or the old cryptocurrency projects to understand their consensus and blockchain and different mechanism and all the innovation that's happening in this space. So I think that that sort of channel will still have a value for me and for the viewers, rather than having a technical analysis channel. So uh, I personally run a group. Um, personally run a group on Facebook that you may be interested to join. If any of you want to join my group, you're very much welcome. And I just want to introduce the group that I have been running for almost 3 years now. It's called Blockchain and Bitcoin ACT Thinkers, SCET Thinkers. Basically, SCET stands for Science, Crypto, Econ, and Tech. It's a public group, but it's mainly my friend groups who are all little bit technical people. Most of them are engineers or graduate students, and mainly I post sometimes prices speculations because that's easy to get people excited. That's why there's so many crypto channels basically talking about pump and dump. So I sometimes also do that to just enthuse everybody. But also sometimes it's not only Bitcoin. I generally try to give investment advice, general things that I am also learning from other investors. It doesn't have to be only crypto investment, but generally focused on crypto. But anything I find interesting, that's why I added the econ and tech part too. So you can send request, and if you are coming from DTube or from my channel, you can write that up in the beginning. That way it will be easier for me to recognize, because I typically, even though it's public, anybody can see the post. I don't admit everybody, because already there's so much scammers. So I want to end this conversation with something that I really liked. I recently made the post. So it's actually by the Cardano founder, Charles Hoskinson. And this video, how Cardano is one of the coin that I think is going to be very much valuable. But I will go through some discussion that Charles Hoskinson has done. There's this full transcript by Charles Hoskinson that will probably sound like what I have been talking about. So he basically was saying that I'll just read through what he was saying. Here's a follow up, right? With all due respect, this doesn't make any sense. There's nothing wrong about wanting to buy ADA in order to make money long term. Sure, you go ahead. Why do you make it sound so bad though? Because it's not what I focus on, Charles Hoskinson says. It's not what I think about. I couldn't care less about money. Markets go up, markets go down. All those who come before make money. You made money off of Bitcoin, yeah, but I believed in the vision of Bitcoin, and I would still be working on Bitcoin if Bitcoin could evolve. Why we worked on Ethereum? It wasn't because we wanted to build Ethereum to make money, it was because we couldn't do Bitcoin the right way. You know the reason why BitShares came about? Because Bitcoin couldn't work. Nothing made any sense, you know. Every single time we say we need smart contracts, no. Go, do yourself. We need to change the consensus algorithm. This cannot scale. No, go, do yourself. Bitcoin uses 87 terawatts of power. 87 terawatts. That's more than Belgium's electricity consumption at this point. And as the price goes up, it uses more. It never goes down ever. So it gets more and more centralized. The mining operations get more and more vertically integrated, more and more private, more and more subsidized power. That system is not sustainable. It can't be by design. These are known problems, and the cult of Bitcoin can't admit these known problems. So those of us who knew there were known problems conducted in Exodus. I just made this transcript from listening to him, so it may not be exactly 100% accurate, but anyway. We went into the altcoin space and started building alternative experiments because we want the promise of the ecosystem to exist. We would like people to be their own banks. We would like people to be in charge of their own data and their identity, because when they are not, they get deplatformed and they get compromised. We would like people to be their own payment system and to get rid of Swift, BIF, and all BIS. And that's it. That was the vision of Bitcoin. That was the vision of Ethereum. That's what when I got into Bitcoin, that's why I got into Bitcoin. It's not, I did not get into Bitcoin. Of course I got into Bitcoin thinking that it can be valuable, but I was more interested in that it's doing something revolutionary, even though it will probably not be able to keep its promise. And sometimes uh, uh, the idealism that we have, it may not be 100% realized, but we are progressing towards the right direction. Progress happens little by little. So um, that's what Charles Hoskinson says. And these type of things, that is the goal. That's why we do what we do. That's why we build what we build. That's why we go where we go. Not because it was all about making money. No, no, no. It's a lot easier to just buy and hold Bitcoin. Great. But then what have you accomplished? What have you done with your life? You have gotten money, but does your money even mean anything? Imagine the farmers in Zimbabwe, right? When Mugabe took over and the currency still had some value to it, and let's say you want to retire, so you sell all your land and you get a bunch of the local currency. 10 years later, you can't even buy a sandwich with it because the currency collapsed. Same thing. That's what the pump and dump is. Like, you hold these currencies, some of the cryptocurrency that we knew 5 years ago, 3 years ago, they no longer exist. Like, for example, one project I really like called Matchpool Guppies, and I invested like more than like 2 Ethereums, I think. And that project was, the idea was awesome. It was basically that is decentralized matching. So their idea was, how can they match doctors with patients? How can they match, like, maybe dating also, or how can they match different people? So there will be lots of small groups all across the world. So it was coming up with a matching platform, and I thought it's a great idea. What happened? The project like literally died at this point. And it's because a lot of people just don't believe in their project, maybe, or a lot of people probably don't have the vision. Sometimes you have the idea and vision, but maybe your intention is not pure. You just want to make money, and that's why I'm making this video. Like, what is your intention? Like, it's not always about making money. Money is always a side product. Like, I mean, do you like wake up in the morning and think about money? If you do, I think you have a very sad life. I mean, sometimes that's why I don't think, I'm not saying all traders are like that. I think trading is a great way of changing the dynamics of investment. I think it has created this opportunity to have a next generation of traders. So trading itself, using crypto, has become democratized. meaning like now anybody can trade, which is an amazing thing. But it's not everything. It's not always just about money. It should be about building something. Look at Elon Musk, look at Tesla, look at all innovations that happen in the world. It's about ideas, it's about concepts. And I will read more. And so he says, you have gotten money, but does your money even mean anything? Imagine I already read that part. So okay, so if your life goal is avarice and you're chasing things, materials, not ideas, you're chasing wealth and you're chasing power, not relationships, experiences, principles, and aiding your fellow man, then at the end of the day, you may achieve for a short period of time wealth and power, but you will not achieve happiness in life because you will not feel like you have accomplished anything and you will not be valued. Like, think about it. Look at when we go to school. Do we read about people who were millionaires in 1800 or 1700? We don't read about them. We read about people who have done good things for the society, people like scientists who have discovered something, or philanthropists who have created schools or colleges, or things that have helped humanity in some way. I'm not saying that everybody needs to do it, but I think that's a more fulfilling, meaningful way of living life. And of course, when you continue doing it, and if you do it in a meaningful way, you may not be super rich, but it can be still a good life, and you will keep your legacy. And that's why you should be thinking about what you are doing and why you are stressing yourself up so much. And I should be also. Sometimes I also get lost, and this Charles Hoskinson's quotes really helped me. I mean, of course, like you need to have a goal to be rich, but richness itself has many meaning. Just having a lot of money does not make you rich. You need to be rich in your mindset. And a good investor who is rich also wants to sustain such thing. All I'm saying is that the projects that we are choosing, we need to have the mindset of whether it is creating any value or not. So continuing, you just owned. So you take care of people, you address your material needs, and great. Some people get very lucky and they accumulate lots of wealth, but if they make that the center of their life, it's pointless. And my God, what has our industry taught people? $1 trillion of value has been created by tokens. In magic internet money, in the sky, $1 trillion. I have been around so long to remember when they were worth a dollar and Bitcoin's market cap was $100 million. And we were like, oh, this is incredible. And then suddenly it went to a billion. We couldn't believe if it was impossible to have a capitalization that high. My first Bitcoin I bought with $100. I remember I had like 10 Bitcoins, and then I ended up selling. Then I went to graduate school, so I was away from Bitcoin space for a while, and sometimes I regret, but anyway, I'm still doing fine. Is there any real material difference from that to a trillion? No, it's all numbers. It's all made up. Fiat's made up. Money doesn't exist. It's a human concept. People exist. Social interactions exist. And that's why I believe in our project DTU. We are making social interactions, and that's why we need to connect with more people. We need to, and we are creating a means for regular people to earn money. And definitely our project is still not perfect, but there we can make it even better. So kindness exists. These are concepts that matter far more than money. Money is a necessary evil that we created in order to make society work. And so far it's been okay. But then we have convinced a bunch of people that that's the point of life. And you know what? It's a guaranteed way to be miserable and die miserably. If you believe that. So, yeah, if you want to trade, make lots of money, all the power to you, but you will get no sympathy or empathy or support from me because that's not what I do. I wake up every day and I see how do I build a billion person system, a system which has billion people. How do I build the best technology? How do we grow these protocols in a way that they are maximally useful for as many people as possible? How do we take them into jurisdictions where they really matter? It just so happens that when we do that and we build those things, that it does actually create network value that of course will result in billions, perhaps trillions of dollars of capitalization. But that is an after effect of bringing millions or billions of people together. When you do that, you create value emergently. You cannot create value emergently if you take 100 people and put them in a room for a day. I think I probably miswrote some part of it. So I think the main point was that he was basically saying if you people naturally are creative, and if you gather a few people, they will end up doing something creative. So that's what probably he was trying to mean there. So it's our nature to do that. So you create a network with billions of people in it. You will create a society, and if you embed within that network principles and values that transcend the ones we have in the legacy systems, the society that you create is infinitely better and wiser and more just than the society that you came from. So this is the philosophy. Sometimes, I mean, I'm not a believer. Uh, I don't. I'm an agnostic. So, and when I think about the purpose of my life, I sometimes one thing that I came to realize in myself is that a good purpose of life can be that because the world is fucked up, right? The world is fucked up in many ways. I don't have to, I mean, you yourself know in every miserable way you have lived your life with all the joys and happiness also. But life is hard, and I feel like it's still we should be positive minded. We should be doing good work. Still we should be um, striving to fulfill and strive. We should be caring about society, friends, families, and other people, and try to encourage compassion, empathy, and have continue to do better. So being pessimistic, being nihilistic does not really produce anything good. So if you have time, you can read Sartre, Jean-Paul Sartre, his existentialism. And I am sort of like sympathetic to existentialism, and I believe in so. So what I mean is like I think a good motto of life can be that I want to leave this world in a little bit better shape than I have found it. Meaning like I came in misery. Even if I came in misery, and even if I have experienced this world in a bad way, I want to leave this world to be a little bit better. And if I can leave this world a little bit better, that's my achievement. That's my tiny bit of contribution to the world. And that feeling of doing something can be the purpose of life, because not everybody can be Steve Jobs, not everybody can be millionaire, not everybody can be billionaire. Even if you become so, um, there is no high ceiling that how far you can go. I mean, ultimately at one point you will have to realize that we're all gonna die. Okay, so I like philosophy, and sometimes I'll probably philosophize. um, and if you are bored, I can help it. Okay, so yes, you can make money and go back into the fiat world and live very well. Congratulations. It's not the point that I worry about, but it's an open protocol, and your mileage may vary. Do whatever you want to do, and plenty of millionaires have been created. And he just continues to say some other stuff. So I personally have greatly aligned with what he said here, and I will end this video here. I wanted to have a shorter video, but it ended up having a video because I am also kind of like making this video to sort of clear the pathways that I want to walk through this channel and what kind of contents I want to bring. So I found this yesterday, and I thought that I would make my next video to be like this on this Let's Talk Bitcoin and Crypto channel. Thank you. Like it, share it. Thank you very much.